Hi everyone, my name is Erica, and I'm restarting a channel here on YouTube. I, in a way, I feel like I want to pick up where I left off, but going back a couple months. I don't know if that makes sense, but that could be a message for someone. So I had a channel here on YouTube and it was called The Healer's Table. And I went through some things personally, and I was very new in the spiritual community. I experienced a miscarriage, and then it was a very quick downward spiral after that. And I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I had a little bit of a mental breakdown. And after or while I was in the hospital, I was put on quite a bit of medication to bring me down from the place that I was in. And when I got home, the medication that I was on made me feel very flat, and I felt completely disconnected from the spiritual side of me completely. And a lot has happened since then. I've done a lot of work within myself, I've done a lot of work with my therapist. And from when that happened up until even just recently, I would periodically say, I wish that I wasn't so disconnected anymore. I was so passionate and connected in the spiritual realm, I felt, and I really wanted to get back to it. And then something just kind of was swirling around in me today that made me want to come down and pull out my decks. I have them all stored away, and I also used to channel messages and I would write them down in this book, and I've kept it on my bookshelf. I live in a completely different location now. My life is completely different than it was back then. And I think there's a reason that I felt like I wanted to sit down and record today. I want to say first and foremost that don't make the messages here fit for you. You will know if the message is for you. And I started going back and reading my old channeled messages, and I felt really called to messages I started channeling on February 15th of 2024. So that date specifically could be significant to you, or that time period could be significant for you, because this also goes into messages I channeled on February 18th of 2024 and February 27th, 2024. And then it just kind of goes into, like, the messages that I would receive would kind of flow into another message. But for some reason, I was very called specifically to the messages I received back in February 15th of 2024 and February 18th. So I'm going to reshare them because this could resonate with somebody now, or this time period could have been significant for someone, and it could be coming back up for them now. So I'm just going to share the numbers that I have here, because numbers are very big for me specifically. And I have a couple decks that I pulled out that I felt called to use. There is one deck. So at the end of every reading that I would do, I would pick an oracle deck, and whatever card came out, I would then read from the book, because I felt like it tied my message together, or there was something within that specific message that would resonate with someone. And I always went to that deck, usually, and someone purchased it from me. I had an Amazon wish list, and some of my subscribers purchased things for me off of that wish list. But I can't find that book anywhere. But the deck is sitting right in front of me. So there could be a message here of there's something that might be right in front of you that you want to use, or you want to do something with it, but you are missing something about it that you need to use it. I know that might sound kind of weird. I'm trying to find the words exactly to make that make sense. But anyways, one of the last gifts I received is an oracle deck, and it was a deck that I really wanted, but I couldn't bring myself to purchase it for myself, and one of my subscribers ended up buying it for me. It's from Alana Fairchild, or Alana Fairchild, the Medicine Heart Oracle, and this is the only deck I have that has been kept in the box with the book. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm just gonna read from something in this book. But I think there's a reason that I'm meant to pull from this deck, which I'm gonna do at the end of the video. And perhaps it will tie together why I feel called to revisit this message, or these messages that I channeled back in 2024. So the numbers I have here are 109, 555, 44, 44, 11, 11, 10, 01, 1234, 234, 345, 212, 717, 727, 747, 55, 55, and 1414. The messages I have here, I have social media cleanse with a star beside it, seeing someone dribble a basketball between their legs and switching their feet back and forth very quickly, hearing quick on their feet, the name Roman, soul star, and galactic chakra, relating to a reading where I saw a light bulb above a head. I don't know, this was so long ago, so I'm not really sure what that is. Then I have clogged ears, like there's water in them, into the Mars with 2 question marks. Check where your Mars is in your chart and read what that means. It's tied to the soul star chakra. And then in parentheses, I have the change you seek and shedding cycles with a question mark. And then I'm going to go into messages I channeled on 2/18 of 2024. I have the numbers 222 with an asterisk beside it, 333, the time 11:33, 7:27, 7:47, and then in parentheses, I have the malleable lemniscat, the shapeshifter. Beneath that, I have the infinity sign, and then underneath that, I have written the time master, and then underneath that, I have the hourglass. The sand within represents the passage of time, and the shape of the hourglass itself represents the cycle of life and death. And then I have kaleidoscope. You are the kaleidoscope. Needing to release the past. And then I have it's a big with a bunch of underline. Like I underlined it quite a bit. Big year. And then I have a bunch of colors to create something beautiful. And then I have kaleidoscope again, 2 mirrors. And then I have those things that used to scare you don't scare you anymore. And then in parentheses, I have that could scare you. And then there was a reading that I did that was very popular. And I feel like this is somehow going to make sense in the future. But the title of that video was called There's a Ripple Effect When the Lion Rises, and it comes after an incubation period. Hindsight is 2020, 2020 vision. Feels like your life is just starting regardless of your age, where you're at in life. And then I heard, and know you're never too old. Be aware of how stress and trauma store in your body. It's like being held hostage. You are holding yourself hostage. Spectrum glass, gaining clarity. Glass needs cleaning to stay clear. Align your vision with reality. See things as they are, not how others want you to see, and move accordingly. Nightingale, connect with the heart, creative expression, open up emotionally. There's healing and power in creating and expressing. So Okay. Um, I also have messages from 227 that when I was reading these initially, it didn't really stand out to me, but now that I've just read that, I feel like I need to share this. So numbers that could be significant are 414, 444, 1111, 1234, 610. And then I have birdie in parentheses, which could be a name or a nickname. And then in parentheses, I have that's when you found someone really special, when you can just shut the fuck up for a minute and comfortably share silence. I believe that's a quote from Pulp Fiction. And then in parentheses, I have the spotlight effect, which I believe was a title to another video that I had. But then I have an arrow and something that says, your guides are gently nudging you forward to be seen. And then I have beeping alert sound that you hear that your car makes when you aren't wearing your seatbelt. It doesn't feel like it's a warning, but more like an alert to pay attention because everything is going to start to come in very quickly. And then in parentheses, I have everything all at once, 3, 2, 1. And then I have a question here. What about being seen scares you? Vision of a pocket watch with a chain. Feeling chained to time, feeling restricted, unable to break from limitations, feeling trapped, preoccupied with the past, struggling to be present, and or wanting more time freedom, wanting to do more of what you enjoy, like a passion project, but you might be feeling suffocated in the sense that you feel like life and or your responsibilities are absorbing a lot of your time, could be affecting your mood and your sleep. And then I have circle the drain in parentheses. And then something is on the decline, water circles drain before going down. Again, I wrote spotlight effect. So again, I don't know why I felt called to share these messages that I channeled from over a year ago, but I'm just going to go with it. And something in what I've shared, whether it be the numbers, the messages, the quote from Pulp Fiction, or anything that I wrote may resonate with you in some way, shape, or form. And again, don't make what I have here fit to what you have going on. If it resonates with you, you will know that it resonates with you. I kind of want to focus on being aware of how stress and trauma store in the body. I feel like where I have here, there's a ripple effect when the lion rises. So it feels like you could have been, oh, I'm getting full body goosebumps again. So there's something where something may have happened where you felt like you were just beat down over and over. You felt like you needed to hide in your shell, in your cave, in your house. There may have been things that you wanted to pursue, but you felt like maybe you weren't good enough. Maybe there was a confidence issue. Maybe there was a passion project that you wanted to explore, but didn't feel like you had the confidence to do so. There could have been someone in your life that made you feel like you couldn't succeed at doing something that you wanted to pursue. So I'm going to pull a couple cards from some decks that I have here, and I'm going to do my best to try and make sense of what this could mean. Again, these are messages, again, that I've channeled over a year ago, but I just felt really called to make my first video about these messages for some reason. So we're just going to pull a couple cards from a couple decks. I'm actually going to pull from the Medicine Heart Oracle first. Normally I would do an Oracle card at the end and read it, but I personally am feeling a little insecure in this moment, and I feel like I need a leg up or something. So I'm going to pull a card from there. We're going to shuffle them and see what comes out. I am not, this is not a deck that I pulled from often, and I got it not long before I ended up deleting my channel. So that could be a message for somebody, is that you're wanting to explore something, or there was something that you wanted to do more of before things shit kind of hit the fan. 15:15 on the clock there. So I'm just going to shuffle these and pull a card, and we're going to read from it. I don't know how far we're going to get into this reading because this is my first reading back on a new channel. So I think I just wanted to put myself back out there, which could also be a message for somebody that you could be wanting to, there could have been something that you were really passionate about back in 2024, in the beginning of 2024, and then things kind of, I keep wanting to say shit hit the fan and it just took a back seat, or you just stopped doing it completely, or you lost passion for it, but the passion for it is reigniting. So I'm really interested to see what comes out of this and see if that kind of ties everything that I've shared from my messages that I have written in my book. So, and I think this will be a good first video to come back to, because I only want to get discovered by people who resonate with my messages. I don't know why I feel like I need to say that, because I feel like that's like an obvious thing, but anyways. Something about white owls could be significant too for some reason, or a fox, or a bear, or blue jays, or a koi fish, or an eagle. I'm just like really drawn. I never really looked at the cover of this, but something on this box or those animals could be significant. I used to get a lot of messages, or I would see a lot of animals that I felt like I needed to mention in my readings. So one or multiple of those could be significant to you. So I got two, and I will read both. They're a little bit long, so if you feel like what I've shared so far has resonated with you, then I firmly believe that you're meant to hear both of these messages. And the first one is 44, Mother of Star Nations. And also, for some reason, I feel called to share. You could be somebody who is dealing with a lot of anxiety right now, and you have little habits, like physical habits that you do, like fidgeting. For me personally, I pick my nail polish off when I feel anxious. For some reason, I felt called to share that. And then I have number 8 here, Mare Tattoo. I don't know that I'm saying that correctly, so if someone sees this and knows how to pronounce it correctly, just let me know in the comments. There's also a white feather here, which could be significant to somebody. So let's get into it. 44. All right, so, well, actually, I opened to number 8 first, so we'll start with that. When facing a choice, consider the responses available to you. What response would fill you with spiritual power? If you cannot yet sense a constructive, spiritually aligned pathway, shift your attitude to enter a state of positive expectancy from which greater creative resources will become apparent to you, which could be relating to that passion project that I was talking about. There is a way through a current dilemma that will open your heart to joy, but first you may need to disengage from fear or doubt. Give yourself permission to determine what your own inner state of being shall be. In the religious and healing practices of African Caribbean Vodou, which again, if I'm saying something wrong, please correct me. I never want to mispronounce something. An important distinction is made between that which should be tied or bound, mare, and that which should be left open, ovir. Novice women attending the Vodou ceremonies tie a knot in their hair or on their clothing as a reminder. This closes the energetic circuits and prevents possession by the spirit summoned within the work. For 40 days during a period of training, Vodou initiates wear a tied headscarf and are reminded by their spiritual mother to mare tattoo or tie your head. In the ancient Egyptian tradition celebrating the power, mystery, and magic of the goddess Isis, her protective amulet, known as the buckle, girdle, or knot of Isis, is another example of the psychic use of knots as protection. There is tremendous wisdom inherent in this understanding, especially for those naturally tending towards a sensitive, permissive, inclusive, or physical permeable constitution. On the contrary, normally I don't trip up on my words this much, so there could be like some nervous energy. I know I'm feeling nervous energy, so I don't know what that could be about. On the contemporary spiritual path, the soul is encouraged to focus on opening. We are encouraged to open our hearts, open our minds, and open to creative possibilities. Yet the soul also needs containers, balance, and boundaries in order to heal, grow, and awaken. There needs to be understanding of that which nourishes and is wise to allow flow, and that which needs to be clamped and cut off. Wisdom is expressed and balanced. In the spiritual traditions of the Himalayan region, particularly Nepal and Tibet, numerous enlightened divine beings are depicted with nooses and ritual knives as spiritual weapons to bind or sever negative forces that would that would threaten to derail the spiritual progress of the aspirant. Spiritual growth certainly makes us kinder and more compassionate, but it does not necessarily make us nicer or more accommodating. Sometimes, if one has been taught to put the will of others above their own well being, spiritual maturity has the effect of strengthening and stimulating our capacity for sacred refusal. Sometimes, no is a divine word of blessing, protecting both the prospective enabler and enabled from sabotaging themselves. In situations where intentions are perhaps not so good, being based in ill will and laced with the destructive forces of jealousy or envy, then such discernment and capacity is essential, which is resonating with me a little bit. 22 on the clock there. I wasn't going to share this because I wanted to come back to the community in a very positive way, but part of the reason I deleted my channel was because I was friends with somebody who is relatively well known within the spiritual community here on YouTube, and we had a falling out. Something that I did not want, but this person was very aggressive, and I kind of looked to this person as a mentor and a friend, and I would sometimes share my messages with this person, and um basically she essentially scared and bullied me off of this platform. And that is a big part of the reason that I deleted my channel in conjunction with my mental health crisis. So I don't know why feel the need to share that, but that could resonate with somebody, maybe not the spiritual community friendship that I had, but a situation like that could resonate with somebody. And reading that just now just made me feel called to share that. Wisdom is knowing when to open and engage from a place of authentic vulnerability and when it is wiser to disengage and assert that a particular energy, behavior, or situation does not have your permission to enter the inner sanctity of your being. You are not judging the other person nor refusing their innate right to choose how they live, but you are affirming your own right to secure the integrity of your energy and personhood. This is symbolically tying the knot or securing the boundary. It is just as important on the spiritual path as learning how to become more open and inclusive. To set a boundary is not an act of spiritual bypass or immature avoidance, nor is it shutting you off or making you a controlling or judgmental person. It is as much a choice and an expression of personal will to allow yourself to be used as a psychic trash receptacle for others' disowned emotional material as it is to choose not to do so. It is a question of understanding what strengthens rather than weakens you and giving yourself permission to love and value yourself. Rather than fostering paranoia or fear, opting into healthy psychic hygiene and emotional self-protection allows you to have more compassion, clarity, and effectiveness as a healing presence in our world. If you have struggled such matters throughout your life or through certain intense experiences where you may feel more physically disembodied and vulnerable than usual, take heart. Your intention to secure your field and eject unwanted energies is enough to set the process in motion. A shift in mindset is often enough to set a boundary and sometimes evoke a testing resistance in others. Stay steady, stay calm, and secure in your right to choose. Excuse me. A strong spiritual light derails attempted manipulation, which may create temporary discomfort for those used to operating in such a way. Yet all beings benefit from enhanced spiritual light, even those who may not initially like what they see illuminated by your presence. If you are needing to say no to a certain situation or energy, make sure to bolster yourself by saying yes to that which sustains. The aim is to potentiate your energy field with such spiritual power that there is no place for hostile energies to land, or if they do, they are readily ejected before they can dig in and cause any long-term sabotaging effect. Shamans in Tuva region in South Siberia are known to focus less on psychic protection and more on becoming filled with blessings from spirits. You have it within you to embrace this joyful way to say yes and no all at once. So I will take that also as a message for myself. I had goosebumps reading that. So now we're going to read Mother of Star Nations, which is number 44. So the number 8 or 44 could be significant to you. I know these are a bit long, but I firmly believe that I'm reading them for a reason. So I hope that you stick around to listen because there may be a message within these that you may need to hear. And this is towards the end of the book, which could also be a message for somebody, is you may have a long history or a long story with something that you thought was in the past, but something about it you're revisiting or is coming back up for you. Also, the red in this card is really sticking out to me. Also, my neck is getting red, which I don't really know, but something about the red in this card is sticking out to me. So 44, Mother of Star Nations. In the world of illusion, one can forget about the presence and power of legions of spiritual beings actively, lovingly offering divine protection and guidance to accomplish every ambition of the heart. Honor the potency and the legitimacy of your spiritual ancestry. When the ways of the world threaten to evoke despair, recall the unsurpassable capacity of the spiritual dimension. There is an ancient divine legacy of love that you have been born to manifest in this world. Claim the relevance and significance of your spirituality. Let it support you as you continue to apply yourself towards awakening. An exquisite legacy of grace shall be the holy outcome, generating considerable spiritual benefit for all. From the ancient peoples of indigenous to Australia to the Egyptians, the indigenous peoples of the Americas, including the Mayans, Inca, and Aztecs, and the ancients of China, India, the Middle East, and Africa, the connection between human evolution and the higher guiding consciousness of star beings is acknowledged. The interpretation of that bond between the stars and humanity varies considerably depending on our individual human belief systems. For our purposes of divine, feminine, shamanic practice, the consciousness of the stars holds ancient knowledge that can support humankind in evolving spiritually, in learning how to integrate the higher understanding of a spiritual perspective into how we live our lives as human beings. We can honor the stars as divine feminine wisdom teachings. The star system of Sirius was reversed as the divine being Sopdet. You could also have a pet named Sirius. I don't know, that's so random, but anyways. In ancient Egypt and heralded as a form of the Egyptian goddess Isis associated with sacred queenship, spiritual renewal and rebirth, transformational magic, love, initiation, and healing. The Pleiades, again, if I'm saying something wrong, I'm so sorry. Please correct me. It's just very hard to pronounce some of these. Are seen as feminine through the astro myths of Native American Lokata, the ancient Greeks, and numerous First Nation Australian language groups, such as the Wiradjuri people, the latter two identifying themselves as Seven Sisters. Which is super weird because when I was scrolling through my messages that I channeled, there was something about 3 sisters, and now there's something about 7 sisters in here. So I don't know, you could have 3 sisters or 7 sisters. I don't know. In one version of the story, the indigenous Australian Boorong people of northwestern Victoria described the constellation as a group of women drumming for dancing youths. One might compare that to the Western mystery tradition of understanding the Pleiades as a group of spiritual elder beings watching over the younger souls actively engaging on their earthly spiritual path. The spiritual guardians that dwell as stars are not separate from humanity, but rather intertwined with humankind spiritually and genetically. While as science can tell us that we are literally made of stardust, our hearts are born with an innate intuitive recognition of our divine ancestry. For some, that will mean we will have literally evolved from certain star systems through numerous incarnations of the soul, until we eventually made our way into human form to share our spiritual legacy on this planet. For others, the sense of wonder when gazing at the stars may elicit an invisible tug of sacred connection that bonds us to human ancestors who gazed at the same stellar objects and, sensing the vitality and intelligence therein, receive subtle spiritual dispensation of cosmic support. No matter how it is sensed, interpreted, and experienced in each soul open to the wisdom of star elders, there is benefit to be generated for all creatures here on earth, for all life in all dimensions, through honoring humanity's enduring spiritual regard for the stars. A Lakota legend tells the story of a bear in pursuit of seven maidens. The women fell to their knees, praying for divine protection. The ground beneath them rose into the air, lifting them out of harm's way, and they became the seven stars of the Pleiades. The oracle speaks of the spiritual protection possible when one has confidence in one's spiritual connection, of courageous prayer leading to elevation beyond harm, and an increase in your spiritual light that can guide others. Protection of you individually benefits many more than solely yourself. To recognize this can help you reframe the idea of self-care to simply care, that which brings benefit to all life. Native oral history of the Cree traces their heritage to the stars, who transform from spirits to become humans living on earth. The belief that ancestral lineages extend to the Pleiades is found in a number of indigenous American nations, including Hopi, Dakota, and Cherokee. The mother of star nations is the cosmic divine mother, manifesting through the soul devoted to the collective spiritual rebirth of awakening humanity. Such a soul is of the stars and of the earth, a divine human spiritual being. The oracle speaks of affirmation of spiritual ancestry, of the legitimacy of that which ignites the soul with the warmth, fire, and boldness born to love. To birth a star nation is to become inwardly and sacredly rebellious against the conformity inducing fear perpetuated by mainstream consciousness that seeks to demean and enslave rather than vitalize and free the soul. The antidote to nefarious agenda is spiritual awakening. The oracle speaks of turning within to find a truth that cannot be accurately perceived in the shifting shadows of the outer world, and to not allow anyone or anything derail you from that which spiritually illuminates your heart. The light of the stars will reveal the way through even the darkest night. Chimpanzee soul medicine is called to light, lightheartedness of playful presence. Light is a symbol of knowledge and an open mind. The childlike state, rather than the childish state, whereby the soul can be curious, investigative, and exploratory, is a fertile ground for creative evolution. Sometimes stepping back from the way things seem to be and moving, imagining, and playing with possibilities can be the trigger for inspired resolution to become clear to you. Such possibility exists. Chimps are known for innovation. Relax. Be willing to believe in the possibility of manifesting something better than what has been. Chimps are not solitary creatures, and every chimpanzee has a particular role to play in social organization. Embracing our various roles and recognizing how important they are to the greater workings of the teams to which we belong is part of the spiritual teaching of chimpanzee. We are all in this together. Even though you may not always feel that your role is as important as that of someone else, rest assured that you are valuable and needed. The energies that you bring to your relationships in the ways that are authentic to your soul genuinely make a difference. The oracle speaks of a time when relationships are of particular importance to your soul healing and spiritual awakening. There may be a need to learn how to allow yourself to be supported by others, working together for a common good, particularly if you have been more inclined to lone wolf tendencies in the past. Red magnolia holds the yin, magnetic quality of attraction, wealth, love, peace, good fortune, and joy. The oracle speaks of long-standing and far-reaching legacies that will stand the test of time, of that within you which may seem delicate and fragile, but is actually incredibly strong and able to survive all manner of tests and challenges. Red magnolia is the blood of life and the confidence, courage, and capacity to act on your spiritual understandings and circulate the rarefied stellar light of your spirit through your soul into your body and out through the ecosystem of life on this planet, including human society. In a fierce, embodied, passionate, loving, and vital way, you are a light bearer. In China, legend tells of the emperor bestowing magnolia as a gift to his faithful subjects as a mark of gratitude, regard, and respect. Magnolia can be considered a sign from spirit that your devotion, your perseverance over many lifetimes is acknowledged, and that your loyalty to love as your guiding soul value will not lead you astray. The white feather has become an almost universal symbol of spiritual dimension, a sacred representation of the presence of grace in the world. The oracle is spiritual intervention. Apply yourself to your healing whilst keeping your mind and heart open to the miraculous power of spiritual grace. So, with that being said, I know those were very long, but I know for me, while I was reading it, I wanted to stop several times and say that a lot of what I read resonated with me personally, but for some reason, I felt called to share those messages that I wrote down over a year ago. So, again, the earlier part of the year of 2024, those specific dates in February could be significant, or that time period could be significant. You could be revisiting something that when you were doing it, it didn't necessarily make sense at the time, and you may have lost passion for it, but there's something that's going on now, either within you or outside circumstances, that is making you revisit it or making you want to revisit something that is reigniting a passion within you to start where you left off or start new in a different way, like you're paving your own way. Not necessarily maybe in the past you had a leg up in a situation or in a passion that you had and it didn't work out and that discouraged you from pursuing it more, but you never really gave up on that. And now there's something that's going on now that's making you want to revisit that. There's a reignition of passion for whatever this is for you. This could be something, just something personally within you or in a relationship or in a passion project, but there is something that's going on now. And those number synchronicities could be significant to you as well. I will put all of this in the description. So if you want to go back and maybe I'll put it on the thumbnail of this video. I actually think I'm going to do that because something about number synchronicities seems very important. So I'm going to add that to the thumbnail, but that's where I'm going to leave this video. It's almost 40 minutes and 38:11 on the clock when I looked up there. So there could be something about 40 minutes that could be significant, or needing to do something in 40 minutes or in less than an hour. I don't know. That's super random. But anyways, I'm going to leave this here. Please let me know if you watched all of this or there was something in this reading that resonated with you, because I felt very strongly called to sit down and record this today. And I'm sitting in a space that I would not normally sit in, and I feel a little timid, but as I persevered and continued on throughout this reading, I started to gain a little bit more confidence. There could also be something going on with your throat chakra where you feel like you just can't get the words out, or you feel like you're going to say the wrong thing, or you feel like you're going to be harshly judged, but you need to say it anyways. Also make sure you're drinking a lot of water. I don't know why that feels important to say. You could be dehydrated, but yeah, drink more water. Yeah, so I'm going to leave that here. So again, please let me know if you watched this and anything resonated, and if you would like to see more. I feel like I'm in a place now where I am going to be posting more, and it's not going to be on any kind of schedule, just when I feel called to do it. So if you did make it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.